see that.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. But yeah, thanks for joining, boys. Like I was saying a minute ago, excited to get you guys on. It'll be the first business that we've had on. It'll be the first group podcast that we've done. And it's podcast number 10, so a little bit of a milestone. But yeah, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you for having us.
So, given that it's three of you, it's probably a good idea if obviously tell everyone a little bit about Apex Race Rooms, the type of things that you do. I'm excited to get into that as well. I'm not, like, I wouldn't consider myself a sim racer at all. I've got like a very budget entry level setup, which I haven't, it's just been collecting dust for years actually. But yeah, excited to get into that. So I suppose, I don't know, Joe, if you just want to kick it off, tell a bit about Apex, a bit about yourself, and then if we do Max and then Jamie, is that cool?
Sounds good.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, I'm Joe, one of the directors, along with Jamie and Max, of Apex. We started it about, two and a half years ago. And it all really started from taking a sim up where we store our cars, where we store them with Max, basically. And took a sim up, we all sort of jumped on it, had a go, and then we literally just said, should we start a business and build a load of these and race each other? And that is pretty much how Apex started. So yeah, that is, it wasn't anything complicated, just straight into it, built a load of sims. I think we started off with about 6, and now we're at 10, and 4 of them have got motion. So, you know, it's been a bit of a roller coaster getting to where we are now, but, you know, Apex is doing really well, and we're all enjoying it, from what I know anyway. But yeah, that's sort of, you know, I used to love sim racing. I probably don't have enough time to sim race as much as I'd like to. But every time I jump on the sim, you know, it's just so much fun. It's hard to get off it once you're on it as well. You know, we've done a 24-hour race together. Basically twice in one weekend, because we had a bit of a hiccup on the one. So we almost did 2 24-hour races over one weekend. But you know, if you can do that, you know you're enjoying it. So yeah, definitely enjoy it. I love being in like cars on track as well. So you know, you can't say I'm not into cars, basically. But yeah, that's probably my little overview of how we started Apex and what we're doing now, basically.
Oh, nice. No, that's awesome. Yeah, there's I mean, yeah, 2 24-hour races pretty much back to back. Sounds pretty awful. You must have been hanging at the end of it.
Yeah, we were definitely all hanging. Yeah. But yeah, that's probably a bit of a background of our sim racing, and not much about the business itself, but just sort of how it started and our love for racing and cars, basically.
Yeah. It's nice. And yeah, as I say, Max, do you want to sort of go next and give a bit of an intro to yourself as well?
Yeah, so I'm Max, one of the other directors of Apex. My background was more sort of like car sales and that side of the business than the racing side of things before we all got involved in Apex. But yeah, I've loved cars ever since I was a kid. Been a huge fan of Formula One and, you know, British touring cars and various other racing series over the years. So it was just sort of a natural progression, I think, to find my way into sim racing. After being a bit of a gamer sort of through my teenage years. And yeah, no, it's something that it doesn't feel like work some days, you know, when you're doing stuff on the simulators, you know, trying out the new tracks, the new cars. So yeah, it's definitely a lot of fun, and I think, yeah, we're really enjoying the journey so far. I guess a little bit more about where the business is at the moment. Kind of when we initially started, we were mostly just a sim centre, and we'd build simulators for our customers who'd come down and decide, you know, oh wow, I really love this, I want one for our home. Now we've sort of grown the business a little bit more. We do a lot of events, a lot of car shows all across the UK. We'll be down at Cruise Culture on Sunday, the 23rd or 24th, Sunday the 24th. with a bunch of our motion simulators and a couple of our static simulators as well. And then we are sort of starting to do some more sort of like corporate events as well. So we're available with our sims for hiring out for office functions, team building events, and we're also starting to move into some road safety stuff with some of the local councils and police forces in Wales as well.
Oh, nice. How are you finding the road safety stuff? Because that's quite interesting. I've not heard of, I suppose, sims or yes, sort of be used for that sort of thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it's still kind of early days for us with that at the moment. We've done one event so far, which was part of a sort of drive safe young drivers event based down in at the Carmarthen Showground, actually, the same location where Cruise Culture is. And yeah, that was a real success. It saw a lot of engagement from the youngsters who were down there, who typically might just sort of walk straight past the road safety booth and not give it a second look. So it was a great way of getting the young kids to come over, get involved, and give the road safety officers from the council, the fire service, the police a good opportunity to engage with the youngsters and really share their message.
Yeah, and 100%. I think to that point as well, I think that's what's so great about sim racing, right? Because especially with the type of service that you guys provide, you allow people to sort of come in and, they've not got to fork out either loads on their own sim racing or their own car to take around the track. And I think that's what's so great about it, right?
Yeah, I think one of our ideas when we started the business was about trying to make racing simulators at a really high level that most people couldn't afford to have in their homes accessible to more people, so we could kind of share our love and enjoyment of sim racing with as many people as possible. And I think going down the road safety route and getting the more people into the sims and more people to experience sim racing and experience how quick things can go wrong, but in a safe environment, I think it's only a positive really for both road safety and sim racing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And so you said about all the events as well, and looking forward to jumping into that a little bit, because obviously it's not just the events that you travel to, but you've done your own events most recently at Llandau Circuit. So looking forward to stepping into that. But I suppose over to you, JB, to I don't know, try and fill in the blanks and tell us a bit more about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Jamie, third director of Apex. I've loved cars as a kid. Ever since I've been little, really. I've done go-karting as a teenager. Basically, I'm into anything with an engine, pretty much, and that uses petrol. But yeah, do track days as well, same as Joe. Pretty much early 20s, etc. And yeah, just love anything racing, really. So it was only natural to give sim racing a go as such.
Yeah, no, nice. And then, I mean, talk a bit more about the karting route, right? Because that, I don't know, it's fun. I love go-karts, but obviously it sounds like probably at the level that you did it, maybe a bit more than just.
So it's So I did most of my karting down Llandau as a teenager. Used to do the championships that they used to run down there, which was very good, also very hard at the same time. You'd have a couple of frustrating weekends where nothing goes your way, but that's I think that's part and parcel of racing, I guess, isn't it? Can't win it all.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I suppose with the background that you've got in the racing, right? How do you think that sort of compares? Because obviously, I think the way that the sim racing has sort of, I guess, come on over the past few years, it's at a point where, and I haven't tried the motion simulators, so I'm going to have to try and fight the crowd to give it a go on Cruise Culture on the weekend. But how does it sort of compare to the real thing, and what's that progression sort of look like?
So I'd say if you've done karting dash racing most of your life, probably the first couple of times you jump onto the sim, it's quite hard to begin with. It's trying to find it's as realistic as it can be, but it's never gonna emulate the real thing. So it's more so Yeah, I'd definitely say it's harder if you've done cars, dash karting your whole life. But coming from like the other side of things, so if you're starting sim racing and then you want to get into say track days or racing, that is a lot easier. Because it gives you your references to where you need to turn, where you need to brake, etc. But yeah, I think it both comes part and parcel together. I think the more sim time you have, you'll naturally be more confident in the car. Obviously, if you get a pretty, I don't know, say for example, you're racing a BMW M3, and then you go on an M3 on the simulator, it's 99% true, and it'll give you all the references you need, basically.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome that it translates so well, and I think again that's just what makes it just makes racing a lot more accessible to people who want to take it that little bit more serious, right?
Yeah, and you can even get paid for sim racing these days. If you're that good enough and you take it that serious, there's some kids out there earning a nice fortune off it, and doing what they love.
Well, you got the whole sort of Gran Turismo story, haven't you? They made the film about, and obviously I think something like things like that help sort of bring it into that public light a bit more as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I suppose keeping on the theme of Landau, so you did an event there, obviously pretty recently. I'm going to go back to you, Joe. Obviously conscious that we're going to try and jump between the people as we as we do it and delegate. Delegate. But talk to us a bit more, and obviously I suppose boys jump in, whatever. How did you sort of find that experience going from? And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think all the cars and coffees that you did previously were at your unit, and been to a few of them, and they've always been incredibly successful. The turnout's been epic. You've had a real variety of cars, and obviously you've had the indoor space, whereas most recently you moved across and did it at Landau, which is a racetrack, right? So how did you how did you find that, and how well did it go?
Yeah, so well, essentially we just outgrew having cars and coffees at Apex. We didn't have the space. It was so hard to manage with the amount of cars that were coming, and it's a bad problem to have, isn't it? But we just didn't expect to have that many cars turning up to these cars and coffees, so it was a bit overwhelming, I guess. But a nice feeling at the same time. But I think sort of it was Max's idea, to be fair, and he suggested, why don't we have a look at host an event somewhere else, and recommended Landau, and got in touch with them, and we managed to get that booking with them, and the event was a great success. It was it flowed really well. The space was there. I think it was, for the amount of cars that turned up, we had the perfect amount of space, basically. We didn't have traffic queuing on the roads, which is something we were quite worried about prior to the event starting. Obviously the weather helps as well. Yeah. When you get good weather like that, people want to get out, show their cars off. So I think it all just came together, I think, on that Sunday. Everyone loved the Sims. Everyone, the variety of cars that turned up was brilliant, and we can't thank everyone enough for coming and bringing their pride and joys and showing it off, really. We're quite excited. We'll definitely be hosting another event like that, and we're quite excited what we're going to plan for the next one. I think that's something we'll be discussing soon, and we've got some ideas for the next one, but we just need to do a bit of planning behind it to get that up and running, really. But yeah, I think overall that event was brilliant, and we all loved it, and it went as smooth as it could have gone, really, for us.
Yeah, I mean, I was again keeping an eye on the field. I couldn't make it myself, but again, I think the variety of cars that you had turning up was amazing. And on your point about the weather, to be fair, I think every time, like over the past maybe 3-4 years, the weather's always been beautiful whenever you've planned it. So long may it continue. But obviously I've got to press you for a bit more information now in terms of what have you got. Obviously don't give too much away, but in terms of when are you thinking about doing something else, like an event that people can start sort of looking forward to?
So although we haven't put a date in, I think most likely we'll be looking at planning something bigger for next year. I think, we haven't completely written off this year, but it's looking most likely that next year. I think you've got the karting track and the car track there. So if we can get something involved on that side of things, get the car track, get the karting track involved as well, then that'll really be a really good event. And I think based on the last event, with everyone behaving and being respectful to the locals and the local roads, the owners are really keen to do something again with us, which is a massive benefit. So yeah, again, thank you to everyone who did come and behave and didn't give us a bad rep, because it helps massively, being able to have the owners ask us to host another event, basically. So yeah, I think we got some good little plans for the next event. I think some exciting stuff, not just involving the Sims, but some other bits that we've got in the pipeline as well.
Yeah, so everyone better stay tuned, and well done for everyone for behaving.
100%. Because it makes a massive difference, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the benefit, and I think the whole cars and coffee sort of theme, right, is that you generally tend to get less ASBO-y type behaviour first thing in the morning on a Sunday or a Saturday as well. So you've got the benefit to that. And then I suppose, like Max, I'll come to you because I think you mentioned it about all the events that you've got, and every time I'm looking at the page, every weekend you always seem to be in different parts of the country, literally everywhere. So how are you finding that part of running Apex? And because it definitely looks like there's a lot of travel, but also setup time involved with putting all these rigs together.
Yeah. I mean, at the start of this year, the three of us sort of discussed and decided that we wanted to target hitting as many events as we could kind of squeeze in, just as a great way to sort of reach new customers, let more people know what we were doing, and just try and expand our reach as much as possible. But that has involved us some months having events every single weekend in different parts of the UK. At the start of the year, we were just kind of piling things into vans and figuring it out as we were going along. But as the years come on, we've kind of figured out a good formula, I'd say, for setting things up and become a lot more efficient in the transportation and logistics side, which has certainly helped streamline the process a little bit. But I do think maybe next year we'll probably balance the events a little bit more across the UK with some more maybe closer to home, and maybe do some more of our own events, not at Apex. As you know, the Landau one was the sort of first thing we've tried of that form, and as Joe mentioned, it was a huge success, and we were blown away with the support that we had from the car community here in South Wales. So yeah, we're really excited to kind of see what we can do to make the next event better, and then hopefully host a few more cool events here in South Wales, so that we don't have to travel quite as much next year.
Hey, what's up guys, it's Chris here from TLNTD, just interrupting this podcast very briefly. TLNTD have recently partnered with Elite Competitions. They do giveaways and raffles for houses, cars, bikes, tech, anything that you can think of. Our partnership means that you get an exclusive discount code, so you can use code TLNTD at checkout. You get 10% off everything. You can combine it with offers they've got on their site, so it's well worth checking out and getting a sneaky look at. So that's code TLNTD at Elite Competitions. Now let's get back to the podcast. I mean, traveling any sort of long distance, right, for an event is logistically a challenge, but as you say, when you've got all this kit and it's top of the range, as you said, the motion simulators, everything, all the screens, like, it's got to be, I don't know, I find it nerve-wracking. transporting all this gear across, and obviously in terms of like setting it up as well and putting everything together.
Yeah, it's not a small task, but in all fairness, I think the three of us have found quite an efficient way to make it work these days. So I mean, we can normally get 6 sims set up in an hour and a half out of the trailer these days, which isn't too bad. So, but yeah, it does make for some long days when you're driving 2-3 hours, or sometimes even 4 or 5 hours to get to an event, and then you've got to get things set up, run them for the day, and then get back afterwards. But no, it's great seeing so many people enjoying the Sims, being able to meet a huge variety of people from all over the UK, and we've had some great networking opportunities from some of the events that we've been to, which could lead to some really exciting opportunities in the next 12 to 18 months. So,
no, I'm looking forward to it. And then, Jamie, I'll come to you then. So, obviously, you've run lots of different type of sort of events during the week. So, I was wondering if you could sort of go into a little bit more, because I think you've got like Nürburgring nights and I think Unlimited Thursdays and that sort of thing. So, yeah, talk a bit more about sort of the stuff that you're running in terms of event wise.
Yeah. So on a Tuesday, every other Tuesday, we do an evening called Nürburgring Nights, which is from 6 till 9. You come down, pay your time slot as such. You basically got 3 hours to just race around the Nürburgring, pretty much. Can be up to 16 people on that night. And then obviously, if that is the case, we just split it into sessions. So you either get half hour, 40 minutes each session. Normally within those sessions as well, people like to change the cars within the Nürburgring evening. So it's a nice variety for customers to just, come and trial out different cars, rather than, booking 1 hour session and you're kind of stuck with that car then. And on those evenings, you meet new people who are, have the same interest, and it's just it's a good laugh, really. Gets everyone together, and everyone loves it pretty much.
Yeah, nice. And then, do you sort of run then like any other things, like little events like that throughout the week or throughout the month?
Then also on a Thursday as well, every other Thursday, we do a limited Thursdays, which is 6 till 9 p.m. again. Also the same, you can have up to 16 people. Also, if that is the case, we split it. Within that night as such, you can choose different tracks and cars. So we normally just have like a little group vote. People can choose the track and car combination, and either have half hour slots or whatever. But on the other hand, on those evenings, if it's say only 6 of you booked on, you've got the full 3 hours to yourself, and you can race the evening away, and it's a really good laugh.
Yeah, it seems like I'm gonna have to try and get up there Thursday and give it a go. And then in terms of like I suppose the split, right? Because obviously you've got some of the motion simulators, and then you've got ones that aren't motion but are obviously still rigged up. So what's the number in terms of the split of different sims that you've got there?
We have 4 motion simulators, and then we have 6 non-motion simulators. And within those sims, they'll all have slightly different screens, pedals, and wheelbases. Just to give a variety of when customers come down, if they're thinking of purchasing a certain product, they can try it all out basically. But in terms of realness, they don't change. It's just slightly different aesthetic looks and personal preference.
Yeah, and so I suppose what's the difference then between the motion? What makes it, I suppose, gives it that effect, the motion system and that sort of thing? How does that sort of compare, and how is it different from some of the more static ones that you've got?
So with static, you're just looking at the screen. You feel the road through the steering wheel as such. But with the motion, we've got the 4 actuators. So every little bump you go over on the road, every curb, when you're braking, accelerating, it all gives that a motion of what the car should be doing. It just adds to that level of immersion, and makes it, more fun and makes it more real. But some people do get a bit of motion sickness from it, so it's it's I wouldn't say an acquired taste, but if you do get motion sickness pretty easy, it might hinder you a little bit, but that's down to each person.
Yeah, 100%. Though when I jump on the rig and put the VR on, I've usually got to take it off within half an hour, because they say if you get spun, it sucks.
It can really set your head off, but yeah, it's really good fun. Whenever I go on The Sims, I'm always on motion. I'll always choose motion, just because it just gives that extra fun factor, and makes it even more real.
So as opposed to your point then, if anyone was going to sort of come in and wasn't sure, you'd be like, jump on the motion and give that a go and see if you get motion sickness and see if it's for you or not.
Yeah, you kind of give the customer the option, but also they can book online. It says everything on the internet, of our website with what products do, etc. But yeah, if someone wants to, go on the Nordschleife on the motion system, you've got to have a pretty strong stomach and head for that, because it does rattle you around a bit.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then one thing I wanted to ask as well, so obviously you can get force feedback in the wheels. Is that with the pedals, do you get some of that feedback as well, did you say, in terms of braking, going over bumps, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so we've actually got rumble motors as such on the brake pedals, which say for example if a car doesn't have ABS, that rumble motor will kick in and give that feeling of pushing the pedal back as if you were locking up. Along with, we have them on the accelerator pedal for traction control, and if your car's starting to lose traction, when you're putting your foot down, it'll also rumble. It just gives you that indication of, okay, I need to either let off the brake or let off the accelerator, to stop yourself from spinning out. But they also do offer full feedback brake and accelerator pedals these days. I think SimuCube offer them, which are a pretty good bit of kit, but also comes with a nice price tag.
Yeah, so Joe, I'll come to you then, because I think in terms of that price tag element, if you're sort of looking at someone, I don't know, to sort of come in and I suppose get into some of the more technical aspects of buying your own rig or starting to build, whatever it is, ideally come to you guys obviously and do all the hard work. What sort of price ranges are you looking at for sort of entry level, I suppose, right the way up to sort of professional sim racing and all that sort of thing?
Yeah, so our entry sort of level rig, which is a turnkey system, so you got your PC, screens, pedals, everything that you need to go, basically, would start at about £3,500. So that'll get you going with a pretty decent rig, and then our full motion system, then it'll at the top end with your triple screens, really really well spec PC, your 4 motion actuators, which is the DK2 Plus, which will take more weight. You're looking at about 15 then for that, which when you look at other sellers is very very well priced. It's some companies charge through the roof for these simulators, and we don't want it to be that way where it's not cheap, you can't reach or you can't get into sim racing because of the cost. We want it to be affordable for everyone, because it's supposed to be an alternative to racing, so if it's as expensive as racing, then you're going to be racing, aren't you?
Yeah, doing something wrong. But
exactly.
To your point then, so, and I suppose it sounds like really simple and really easy, obviously, to come to you guys and pick up a rig, because the PC aspect of it is crucial, right? You've got to have the right graphics card, the right processor, RAM, all that sort of stuff to make sure it runs, games and that sort of thing properly, right? Otherwise, it just won't work, right? It's pointless.
Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, depending on what games you want to play and what system you're going to run, we'll build the PC to the spec you want. you've got games like Assetto Corsa Competition, which are very graphic heavy, whereas Assetto Corsa, which is what we use, is an old game but very very good. Is pretty easy on a PC, easy going on a PC. You don't have to have a massive spec PC for it, and the modability of it as well is amazing. Sort of, you can pretty much get whatever you want, like car and track wise, which is great really, because if people want the car that they drive every day, they can most likely get that and race on it, race it on the sim. It's brilliant. The things that people do, people all go to tracks and scan them, upload them to the internet, and you can just download it and then race around on it. So it's it's nuts, the technology that's out there now.
Yeah.
You would never have seen this sort of 10 years ago.
Well, no, that's the thing, right? And it's come on so much, and yeah, I think AC is just so much fun, especially with all the different mods, right, and all the servers. And I think the big benefit of AC is that you just pay that up front for the game, which is really cheap. Still, it's in comparison, I suppose, to your other AAA games like Forza and that sort of thing, where you haven't got that level of modability, and I suppose probably that feedback as well, right, that you get with AC, as you say, with the track scans and the way that the cars are all built and set up, because you can spend hours in AC and similar games, going through all the different settings on the car to make it, pretty much like you say, if you've got like I suppose a good example, right? I think the Drift Games guys, they've got like drifting sims and everything, and they've got the setups mirroring the actual cars, and obviously, it's a lot cheaper to go and drift or race on a sim, and obviously you've not got the risk of crashing, and all the expense that then comes with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, sim racing. If you're into it for drifting or racing, it's a perfect way to practice, and you can practice for hours on end with no worry about expense, because you crash and you just click the reset button, and obviously in real life you can't just do that. So to learn the fundamentals, a sim is perfect for it. You can't get anything better than a sim personally, for that side of things. And like Jamie said, if you're learning a sim, once you get into the real thing, all those fundamentals carry across. You've got that added element of like G-force, but the rest of it is as it is on the sim. And obviously you've got that added element of fear as well when you're in the real thing. yeah, I think you can't quite replicate the fear bit, but no, it's no, I mean, they do look like a lot of fun. And I suppose, Max, I'll come to you then. So if I wanted to come down on a Thursday night or whatever day, what are your sort of opening hours? How much are you charging for like a session? Talk a bit more about, I suppose, that sort of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So currently we're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. We are by appointment only, so you need to make a booking or give us a call before you head down, just to make sure that we've got someone there who can look after your booking, and also to make sure that we're not away at an event somewhere, because some weekends we are taking the majority of the sims away to the event. So if all the motion sims are an event, we don't currently have any motion sims to be at the HQ. So yeah, make sure that you always head to the website or give us a call before you head down. In terms of pricing, so our unlimited Thursday sessions are priced at £25 for the non-motion and £45 for the motion. And then we do the same pricing for our Nürburgring nights. We also do on the alternate Tuesdays to Nürburgring nights 2 for Tuesdays. So on a 2 for Tuesday night, you basically get an hour and a half booking for the same price as a 45-minute booking. So we just double up your time for the same cost. So 45 minutes or on the sim normally costs you £20 on non-motion or £40 on motion.
Yeah, nice. And I think it's good that you've got those yeah, the like Two for Tuesday, that sort of thing, to come down and just sell. I think it seems like really good money for value, you know.
Yeah, we just want to offer those nights to try and sort of, give people the option if they haven't tried it before to come down, get a variety, meet some other like-minded people, try a variety of different cars and tracks out, and then sort of find out if it's something for them. And then, they can come back to those nights, on a regular basis, or, do a group booking with a bunch of their friends if they want to, do a specific car or track combo for a little bit longer.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then obviously we've got Cruise Culture coming up. I think when this is out, it would have passed anyway. But in terms of any sort of events, like other events you've got coming up, I suppose past this weekend, if people want to come and give one of the simulators a try, have you got anything sort of pending just yet?
So yeah, we're going to be at Rally Ceredigion on the 5th and 6th of September with one of the motion simulators up in Aberystwyth. We're also going to be at Shelsley Walsh Hill Climb with Auto Alex and the Food and Fuel events, basically, on the 21st of September. And on the 21st of September, we will also have a sim at the road safety booth in the Welsh Supercar Fest at Pembrey.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it sounds like there needs to be more of you to take all these rigs to all these different events that you've got going on.
Yeah, I mean, currently we've got, the three of us sort of taking care of the majority of the stuff. But yeah, we're definitely probably in the process of bringing some extra hands on in the next few months to help us with the increased demand that we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, just like looking through your feed. I mean, obviously this is a busy month anyway, especially like this. It's when all the cars come out from garages, because usually the weather's pretty decent. And to be fair, I think we've had it quite lucky so far, in terms of the weather. But I think you were down. Was it the FRF Bridge End show most recently? Was it?
Yeah, so last Sunday we were down at the FRF Bridge End show. We had the 4 motion simulators down there with 2 static sims as well. It was a great day. Saw a whole bunch of people. Had some really, really fast times being set. It was a fantastic event. Obviously, the weekend before that, we had our Landau Cars and Coffee. The weekend before that, we were at Boxing Gas for Megaphonics, which is the largest Porsche meet. Largest dedicated Porsche meet in Europe. Met some fantastic people there. Got to see some incredible cars as well. So yeah, August has been a busy month for us, but no, it's been a lot of fun. Last one of the month this weekend with Cruise Culture, and then we've all got a weekend off for the last weekend of the month, which I think we're all looking forward to.
Yeah, it sounds like it's much needed. I say you boys are putting in a lot of work, and it's awesome to see. And I think it's worth shouting out as well that you usually do some sort of like competition on the day that you're at these events. So I think I've seen a couple of posts. Whoever sets the fastest lap time, right?
Yeah. So typically at our event days, we'll do a sort of fastest lap challenge, 1 car, 1 track for everyone. Keep it a nice level playing field, and then the fastest lap of the day wins the supercar driving experience. So yeah, we've given quite a few away this year, and still a few more to go. So always great to see people getting an experience in a real car after having a bit of fun on the sim.
Yeah, 100%. No, thank you. And then Jamie, I suppose I'll come to you in terms of real cars. So I can't remember if you said that you still do sort of track days and that sort of thing at the beginning. Is that the case, or am I getting it wrong?
Well, I wish I was, but no, unfortunately not at the minute. We're pretty stacked with Apex, so yeah, no time to play yet, unfortunately. But something we should have an Apex track car soon, which would be nice. Potentially in the future we can give that out as a prize, for people winning the fastest lap of the day. They can come down, do a couple of sessions, and we can also give them a bit of coaching. That's also something we want to add to Apex, for your home go simmers, if they want a bit of extra tuition or pointers, something that we can give customers as such.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth when you said about an Apex track car. That sounds good. That sounds really exciting. Is there anything else you can say on it just yet? Or are you sort of keeping that one under wraps?
No. Just a little idea that we floated around.
Yeah.
I think it'd be good for people to more so we can enjoy the experience with them, and also just you guide people, because it is quite daunting for a lot of people to take, especially if people want to take their own car and track, they don't feel comfortable because of other people, or the what ifs, etc. It's quite daunting for people, but I think if we were to have an Apex track car where people win that prize, we can just jump in the car with them and just give them that first experience, not the do's and don'ts as such, but what to look out for, and just increase their confidence, really, because it is very daunting.
Yeah, I mean, especially, a lot of these people drive to the circuit and then they drive the same car home as well, so that's a risky game to play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've had a couple of times where I've been broken down or whatever. It is a nightmare getting home. So yeah, that's also another thing that people get put off by. And then on the other front, they can't afford another car, or they can't justify having a dedicated track car to say use a handful of times of the year. So I think it'd be a great little addition to Apex, and to give other people the enjoyment out of it, really.
100%. I think anyone who's listening, or anyone that's into cars, would love a track car. It's just to sit there for 9-10 months of the year to sort of take out. But no, I think that sounds awesome. And talk to me more about that sort of coaching idea as well, because that sounds really useful, especially for simmers that are looking to sort of knock those lap times down.
Yeah, so if someone wanted to come down for some coaching lessons, we'd start off, seeing what experience they have, or what they think they need to improve on. But I'd say the majority of where you gain your lap time is under the braking and acceleration. A lot of people are either on the brake, off the brake, off the accelerator, on the accelerator at the wrong times. So it's mainly just giving people the fundamental basics that sometimes they may overlook. We see it quite a lot. People either go too fast into the corner or too slow. It's just giving them that reference point on a certain track in a certain car. So say, for example, you see a 100-meter board, that's when you should be braking, not braking at 150 and then letting off and then accelerating and then braking again. We can either do that with speaking to them on the headset, or we can be on the sim, on a different sim, and they could be following our lines, etc. Just pick it up from there, and you can give them the real life or the sim data then, which will have your brake and throttle traces, etc. So yeah, that's something that we're going to offer.
No, it sounds awesome, and I think keeping speed through the corners is a skill.
yeah, it's more so kind of let the car drive you as such. Don't overdrive the car. As long as you're braking and accelerating and steering at the right point, you shouldn't have an issue, and you should just build speed then with time.
Yeah, no, 100%. It sounds awesome, and I'm definitely gonna have to make that journey up, and maybe jump on the motion sim and get a bit of motion sickness and have to jump off. But
sure.
It sounds awesome. And then I suppose I'll open the floor up now, because this one could get a bit feisty. But who's the quickest on the sim, boys?
Not me.
Well, it's definitely not Max.
No. I was so slow that I took my sim from my house up to the unit, and I've built a flight sim in my house instead now. That's a little bit more my pace.
Couldn't do, so step back from the cars, do the planes instead.
Exactly.
Seems like a smart choice, yeah.
So I'll let these two boys battle that one out.
Yeah, go on.
It's hit and miss between me and Jamie, but Jamie probably pips me more so. It depends on the track and car combination.
Yeah, and it depends how much sleep we've had. Depends on how busy of a weekend. But yeah, it's give or take, it's not much in it, you know.
Put it this way, it gets very competitive between the two of us.
I can imagine. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I can't remember you said at the beginning. So how long did you say that you've been doing Apex, or I suppose been sort of into the sim racing?
Well, so I say I've been doing sim racing on and off for about 6-7 years, but I mean now I don't really sim race because I haven't got the time.
Yeah.
Which sounds a bit strange, really, because you own a sim racing business and you don't do any sim racing.
Yeah.
But no, when we're down there, we do jump on, and like I said, it's hard to get off. But I used to do quite a bit on iRacing. I'd get back. Used to do night shift and like get back from a night shift and jump on iRacing for a few hours. Probably not the brightest ideas, but
no, that's commitment. I mean, iRacing's brutal as well because you get penalised like heavily on that. I've done a bit of iRacing, and I think that's probably one of the disadvantages of it is you've got to pay for everything, right? Like cars, tracks, gets very expensive very quickly, right?
Yeah, I think I treated it slightly different, where I'm just going to learn in one car and work my way up in single cars and not go and buy all the cars, try them all out, just focus on like the Mazda MX-5 as everyone does to start.
Yeah, that's the one, yeah.
And then there was the Ferrari GT3, and moved into the Porsche then once the ratings went up. And that was it for me. Those were the only 3 cars I used to drive.
Yeah,
and I was quite happy doing that, and obviously it kept the costs down, so
yeah.
It's just the tracks you've got to buy then, so it wasn't as expensive as I was at first expecting.
No.
But yeah, you can spend hours on that. That's something I love. But yeah, I think the only iRacing the 3 of us do now really is the 24-hour events. Apart from that, we don't really get much time to sim race now.
So
and unfortunately, as sad as it is.
Yeah, you're too busy giving everyone else the opportunity to jump on. I mean, which is awesome. So, in terms of so you do the 24 hours event. So I'm assuming that's just the 3 of you, and obviously you jumping in and out of the rig. What hourly intervals, right?
So we did it with a few others, a few other friends recently, and we did. I think it was 2-hour stints between 6 of us, from memory. 2-3 hour stints. It was either 2 or 3 hours. I can't remember off the top of my head now, but they were tough either way. But yeah, especially obviously the night shift is tricky to do when you're not used to being up at that time in the night.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I like watching the 24 hours anyway, and I think the sim racing aspect of it is so interesting, and I think well, I don't know, it'd be good to get your thoughts on it. So obviously when we had COVID and all the F1 was cancelled, we went through this period where we ended up having like F1 like sim racing, and you had all these sort of celebrities and everything come in, and that was sort of broadcast live on Sky and whatever it was in place of the actual F1, which was awesome as well because you had other drivers in there getting involved, and I think it was really quite interesting. I think showing people, I think how far it's come in terms of that realism sort of aspect to it as well, and I suppose the event around it, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at the technology that's out there now. When I remember when I was a kid and I got bought a steering wheel for Christmas, and you look at what that did to what it is now, it is a completely different ball game. I mean, the force feedback on these direct drive wheels is insane. You've got the force feedback pedals now, all the haptics that go along with it, all the motion systems, your screens, your VR headsets. It's, you can almost get to the real thing without the G-force. You can pretty much have everything except that G-force. And I mean, even some of the really, really top end simulators that these F1 teams use can almost generate that G-force because they've got that much movement in them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much at the real thing with the technology with this out there now. It's absolutely crazy. I know it's not cheap, but if you can build on it.
Yeah.
You can start cheap and then like slowly add. That's the benefit to these simulators is you can start off with a nice budget rig and then you might want to upgrade your steering wheel 1 year, and then the next year you can upgrade your pedals, you can get a shifter. You know, you haven't got to buy it all at once. So I think that's the benefit, and it's easy to change.
Well, that's it, and because everything's coming out of the computer, like I've got like a handbrake, which I've never actually used, which is a shame. I just again not got the time, but the handbrake and the shifters, there's like you can really sort of, like I suppose taper it to yourself, right, and all the personalization that comes with it as well. It's awesome, and I think again it gives opportunities to people to race around old F1 cars, which you couldn't do now. Do you know what I mean? You could take your car on a track or whatever. I think like the example of the M3 was given earlier, right? And have that set up, but you can't just jump into an F1 car, or
No.
Most people can't just jump into a supercar or a GT3 car and that sort of thing.
No, exactly. I think I think I've jumped on the old F1's cars on Assetto, and the noise of them is like second to none, and you just think it would be amazing to drive something like that in real life, but I know I would never be able to, so the sim is the next best thing for me. So that's my experience of driving an old F1 car, which was very enjoyable, I have to say.
Yeah, makes you miss the old days when you hear the screaming F1 cars. But I mean, that's probably a good one as well. So obviously I'm assuming you're all probably into F1. That might be a bold assumption, but go on, Joe. What team you like? Have you got like an allegiance to a team? Any particular driver?
I am actually McLaren, but I only got into F1, I'd say, in the last 4 or 5 years.
Right.
I was never actually into F1 as a kid, funny enough. I watched Drive to Survive, and that is what got me into it, weirdly. I just had never had an interest in it, and I think it was just that idea of it's just cars going round and round, why would I be interested in that? But when you watch the Netflix Drive to Survive, I think it shows you a lot more of what goes on within F1 and how competitive it actually is.
Adds the drama to it. Max, what about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been an F1 fan ever since I was a kid. Back when I was growing up, it was the days of Michael Schumacher and Ferrari, and I remember watching Kimi win in 2007. But yeah, I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Ferrari, but certainly in recent years, it's been a struggle for them as a team. I thought it was really refreshing seeing Red Bull come into the sport with kind of a completely different approach to all the teams that have been there before them. And no one really expected, an energy drink supplier or manufacturer to go on and do what they've achieved. So yeah, I think it's really impressive seeing what Max is doing these days. But I think this year is going to be really interesting, and I think it's going to be a good fight between the two McLaren boys to see where they end up.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think, no one's quite done it like Red Bull. And I think from a brand point of view, to come in and sort of do that it's been very impressive.
Absolutely.
All right, so Jamie, what about yourself?
Yeah, so for me, obviously, I got into Formula 1 as a kid, obviously doing go-kart, etc. For me, when it would probably be McLaren when I was a teenager, obviously when Hamilton was there. I'm a Hamilton supporter. But, some people might like it, some people won't. But, and then, as Hamilton left to go to Mercedes, I've been Mercedes fanboy as such since.
I got all the gear.
I wouldn't say I have a one firm driver or team to win. But at the end of the day, I'd rather have 4 teams and 4 drivers fighting it out to win every weekend, not rather, than the same person, same car kind of thing. I just love it all in general. I'm not a massive, die-hard supporter. Everyone else is rubbish, etc. Because at the end of the day, as much as a lot of the drivers, they pay to get their seats, they're also talented. Otherwise, money can only go so far without talent. So
Yeah. No, 100%. I mean, I think it's great the last couple of years. It's really sort of gotten a bit closer, which I think was been missing for a while. And obviously, you've got Cadillac coming in, which I'm quite excited for. I love the idea of having more cars on the grid. It just makes it, I think, that little bit more interesting, right? That little bit more entertaining.
Yeah, for sure. I think Perez and Bottas are pretty lined up for Cadillac, from what I read. But you never know. No,
I love it every time. It's just Bottas. It's just a tease, man. It's just he's got it, but he's not gonna admit it. But no, look, boys, it's been an absolute pleasure having you all on. What I want to do actually is, I suppose, go around the room a little bit, and we'll start with you, Jamie. Sim racing tips. What's your best tip that you can give to anyone, either, I don't know, who wants to get involved in sim racing?
So for someone who's probably never done it, as what we offer, the entry level rig, I think that will get you, on your way. You don't need to buy all, the best of the best, and just because you've seen it on the internet means it's good, etc. Value for money wise, what we offer for our turnkey entry rig, you won't get any better. Say for example, even if you spent an extra £10,000, you as a beginner, it's not going to make you any faster. As bad as that sounds, it's just not. Start off with your more simpler pedals and wheels, etc. Your smaller screen, and just learn the fundamentals of how a sim works. And what kind of driving you enjoy in the sim, because a lot of people enjoy endurance racing, a lot of people enjoy sprint racing, and obviously how you drive differs quite a lot between endurance racing and sprint racing. That's pretty much it. And if you're looking to start out, watch some YouTube videos, or if you're close to South Wales or further away, come down and see us, and we'll show you how to get started.
Oh yeah, 100%. Joe, I'll move on to you. What's your sort of number one tip?
Oh, I'm gonna have to disagree with Jamie. You need to spend as much money as you can with us, and then you'll be as fast as you will ever be on a sim. No, I'm only joking. No, I think you can't get on a sim and expect to be fast straight away. It takes time. I think these events we do, you see people, they'll jump on for their first session. You get people coming back, and the difference in their time from their first session to their second session is amazing, just because they've spent that extra bit of time in the sim, in the seats. They're getting to grips with it all. They're learning that you don't have to go flat out on a corner. You brake before you do a bit of trail braking and feather the throttle in as you're going out the corner. You learn that over time. You don't know it all straight away. So I think my tip would be just take your time, and you will get faster. It's that practice makes perfect. You're not going to be a Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton in one session, so yeah, it's just that thing. Just keep practicing, and you'll get quicker and quicker.
Yeah, awesome. No, thank you. And then I suppose this might be an interesting one, Max, because we'll come to you. But given your experience on the racing, I don't know. You can talk about the planes if you want. But what's your sort of tip for anyone sort of looking to get into the sim racing aspect?
You know what? A little bit of research goes a long way, I think, in sim racing. So don't necessarily, just buy the first thing that you see. Do a little bit of reading, find out what is it that you're looking for exactly, and then maybe speak to some people first before you make that decision. And then I think you'll set yourself up a lot more for success, because if you're going to want to go down the drifting route and you buy a GT wheel, you're straight away going to have to spend a couple of extra £100 before you can actually do what you want to do. So yeah, there's just a few little things to consider before you sort of start out. But yeah, honestly, I still love sim racing. I'm just not that competitive these days. So, and I think the flight sim routes are really interesting for option for us as a business, as a potential sort of growth route, down the line. And the company Sigma Integrale from the US, who we work with, who build the actuators for the motion platforms. Their platform also works with Microsoft Flight Simulator and a few other flight simulator softwares that are on the market. So yeah, just really interested to sort of see how that feels and the route that goes down. So yeah, if that's something that sounds of interest to you guys listening, certainly shoot us a DM, let us know that that's something you'd like to see at Apex, and maybe we'll try and make something happen a little bit faster than what we've currently got planned on that front as well.
No, that sounds interesting. Like, because again, flight sim, it feels like a whole different ball game, right? In terms of like some of the setups and everything that you can get on there. So I think being able to offer that sort of experience as well is, it sounds awesome.
Yeah, I think it can almost be a little bit more daunting than the sim racing aspect to sort of look at, because you've got a fair few more controllers, a few more elements to it. So yeah, it's certainly something that I'm still learning a lot about. And yeah, well, just going to keep plugging away, trying to get some more hours in and gain a greater understanding of how all the different equipment and software sort of interfaces with each other.
Yeah, no, fair play to you. It's it's going to be awesome to see some flight sims at Apex as well. But yeah, as I said, it's been awesome. Where can people find? Like, obviously, you've got the website, you've got your socials. Shout that out so that people know exactly where to come, where to DM, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So the website's apexracerooms.co.uk, and on socials, on Instagram, we're just Apex Race Rooms, and the same name on Facebook as well. So yeah, give us a follow, give us a like, guys, and keep an eye out for the next event.
No, 100%. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. Next time we'll do it in person, maybe at Apex, and I think that'd be awesome. But yeah, looking forward to seeing you guys as well at Cruise Culture. I'm going to embarrass myself massively on that sim, and I'm sure the three of you will laugh at how crap I am on it. But it's been a pleasure, boys. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having us.
Nice.
See you on
it's been
Sunday.
a pleasure.
Yeah, no, thank you.